I'm not very good with microphones. Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. No? Yes, no. I'm getting, yeah, it's on. Hold it here. Okay, here we are. Okay. Hello and welcome to what we hope is the first of many Lighthouse lectures sponsored by the Elbow Reef Lighthouse Society. We're happy to have you all here. And it's a coordinated effort of many people. Obviously Tom, who's here, and all the other friends who've made this day possible. I'm really excited about it. One thing is also to point out is that we do have a table with t-shirts and books and things back there for anybody who hasn't gotten them before. Also, and all the proceeds will go directly to the lighthouse. First off, I'd like to introduce to you, before Cullen, Dr. Michael Pateman, who's the senior archaeologist with the Bahamas Antiquities Monuments Museum and Corporation in Nassau. Through Dr. Pateman's hard work and over the past year, government support for the historic preservation of the Bahamian Lights has been solidified. He'll now tell us how this will translate into local communities, uses of the lighthouse, and especially our community. And, yeah. So,
thank you, Annie. I always love coming back to Hopetown. It's very beautiful here, and I'm very pleased and happy to see so many people here. What I'm going to do is just give you a brief background on what's transpired with the government over the last probably about a year and a half in regards to Lighthouse. A Lighthouse committee was formed made up of individuals from the Ministries of Transport, Tourism, Bahamas National Trust, Antiquities, Monuments and Museums Corporation, the Defense Force, and the Port Department. This committee was formed because, unfortunately, the inaugural lighthouse was automated, and a lot of us were not happy about it. Also, there were plans that were left in place to do the same in San Salvador and Hopetown. The Minister of Transport also was pretty upset about this because this was plans that was left in place by the previous government, and she asked, well, how come nobody consulted with me before these plans were taking place, since we're the new government? And nobody can answer her, so she immediately put a stop to it and formed this committee through cabinet to sort of take away, let's look at what we can do with these lighthouses so this does not happen anywhere else. And we knew that if they even tried to come into Hopetown, that may cause a lot of problems. So, so we were charged by the Minister of Transport not to make this happen, but also to sort of plot the future of the Bahamian lighthouses, because as a lot of you have known for years, they have been neglected. There has not been sort of a clear direction on what's going to happen with the lighthouses. We've had various local groups fight for the government to get more involved, and we have to thank the people of Hopetown especially, because you all have been fighting for these lighthouses longer than anyone else. And I think it's because of people from Hopetown and people like Annie Potts and Dave Gale that we're where we are today. The Antiquities Corporation, where I work, we took the lead on the committee because we have been advocating for years that the lighthouses should fall under us because they are historic sites, and we would have the best expertise on how to deal with them. And the committee agreed with this, but before this was pushed forward to cabinet, they wanted us to do some studies and talk to people and write reports and so forth. So one of the things we did was we actually came into Hopetown, I think that was April of last year, and we met with the Elbow Reef Lighthouse Society and some various community members from Hopetown, and we spoke about the way forward for this lighthouse, what we expected, and people were very frank with us what they expected from us. And a lot of what came out of that meeting went into a report that I was charged with writing that went to the committee. And basically we asked for everything. We asked for control of the lighthouses. We asked for responsibility to develop them as historic sites so that we can raise money to restore them. We asked for a formal program to be put together to maintain the lights, because that has always been a challenge with not just this lighthouse, but all the lighthouses throughout the country, is that a light goes out somewhere and then the Defense Force is charged with fixing it and they don't have a budget. So we asked for everything. And for the first time since I've started working for government, we got everything we asked for. So Cabinet agreed to vest the historic lighthouses into the AMMC. We were granted authority to rent, lease, form relationships with preservation groups, develop community-minded preservation groups, develop plans, formulate a budget, hopefully we get it, and formally establish a lighthouse committee so that we can properly manage these sites. It was also agreed to evaluate the feasibility of restoring Dixon Hill, that's in San Salvador Lighthouse, and the Matthewtown Lighthouse, to fully hand-operated and kerosene-burning lighthouses. So I know Hopetown is proud that you are the last one, but we hope we can have 3 in the Bahamas again. Because for a while we had the last 3, and then slowly things changed. Also, they agreed to prioritize the development of the Elbow Reef, the Hopetown Lighthouse, as a paid historic site. This was something that we felt that because of the community involvement, and because every time I come here, one of the first things I do is I go right to the book, and I just see how many people go through that lighthouse. And the opportunity to make revenue for the lighthouse, to be put back into the lighthouse, so that we can begin to preserve it, to restore it, to interpret it, to help the keepers out also, because we know that they struggle and have to sometimes take on 2nd and 3rd jobs. So it was agreed that we can start with Elbow Reef. And then I also spoke about the maintenance of the navigational aids through the Defense Force. And then one of the most important things, I think, is that as part of this, we, for years, have been pushing the government to sign the UNESCO World Heritage Convention. And this was part of the recommendations we made in this committee. And the World Heritage Convention would allow the government to put the historic lighthouses up for nomination as a serial nomination, because the Bahamas is strategically placed, and we're incredibly important towards the navigation of the Atlantic world. During the age of sail, every ship had to come through the Bahamas because of how the trade winds blew. And this eventually what led to a lot of the lighthouses, because they wrecked everywhere. And so the Bahamas has agreed to sign the World Heritage Convention, and one of the sites that we are going to put up for nomination are the 11 imperial lighthouses that are in the Bahamas, and then we're also going to add in the Hog Island or the Paradise Island Lighthouse as one big serial nomination. And one of the benefits this will have is we're allowed to apply for grants, for technical assistance, but also once these sites get nominated, they become hotbeds for tourism activity. Tourists flock to sites that are just on the tourists flock to these sites, so that will also be a big boost to the local community, because they need some place to stay, they need somewhere to eat, and so forth. So we're hoping that this is just the first step in developing these. Thank you.
I can't tell you how exciting it's been in the last 24 hours to hear Michael talk about things like, oh, you know, we could have a conservation laboratory here at Hopetown where we could start working on solidifying some of the rusting areas in the lighthouse, and to hear Cullen talk about the stuff that can be going on if we coordinate with the government in a better way than we've been able to in the past. So it's all really exciting and a really great potential, I think. Now I'm honored to introduce Cullen Chambers. I have to laugh.
With the microphone.
Okay, thanks, Nan. Right, I'm always afraid that you're going to get a lot of feedback or something. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Few of us are able to live our passions. Cullen is one of those remarkable people whose vocation is also his avocation. A self-professed history geek with special interest in military and maritime structures, he had me falling in love with the difference between a rifle cannon and a smooth